your host. Joining me today, Warren Cranford. Warren is a benefits specialist, benefits advisor. He can help you with choices you need to make with regard to Medicare supplement plans, Medicare Advantage, comparing the two, comparing first off whether original Medicare or Medicare Advantage plan might be best for you, and then also helping you if, let's say under original Medicare, if you need a Medicare supplement plan, which if you're going to have original Medicare, most people will. There are some rare people out there that have health insurance coverage through their employers that they get to carry on into retirement, and many times those will turn into supplement plans meant to work as your supplement plan, whether at a cost or depends on, of course, the employer. But for most of us, we're going to have to pay that out of pocket. So, Warren, talking about again the what Medicare supplement or Medigap policies, what they cover.
Yeah, so typically one thing that's important to remember and see in your slide is that for one, Medicare has a standard. They set the standards as far as what the coverage is, and so Medigap plans will typically pick up, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there are there are a number of plans that you could choose from,
right,
and that cover
let's talk about
various,
that, in fact.
things.
Let's go ahead to the next slide, Medicare supplement insurance. So these are the different plans that are out there, or we're going to talk about, there are 10 Medigap plans, but basically as of January 1st, 2020, only 8 of those for people new to Medicare. So plan C and F no longer being available. If someone's already has Medicare, original Medicare, and already has a supplement, they can keep it. And could they change still from C to F, or in other words, would they be able to go out of it and come back to it, or if they leave, do they lose it forever?
Correct. That's a great question. So with Plan F, if you have a client, so here's the scenario: if a client of mine comes and they turned 65 prior to January 1st of 2020, they would still be eligible for Plan F if they delayed their Part B and remained on their employer's group insurance, okay, and they may be retiring, let's say this year, then they would have the option to choose Plan F at that point in time during their initial enrollment period. Correct. Okay. If they choose not to go with a Plan F, and like you said, they chose a different plan, let's say Plan G, and which is very similar to Plan F, or Plan N, which most of my clients seem to be more common. Then if they don't choose that Plan F at that time, then they cannot go back to it at a future date. They at that point in time default to their whatever plan it is that they chose. So that's good enough.
So, and then for most people, and Plan F, by the way, the significance of that one is would you consider it to be probably the most coverage that you can get in a supplement plan? Yeah, so
as you see on the chart, so Plan F covers 100% of what original Medicare might have not covered. That's including like co-pays, co-insurance, hospital deductibles, other type of deductibles, Part B excess charges. That could be up to 15% if a doctor chose to charge an excess charge. You see the Part B deductible. The only difference between Plan F and Plan G, as you can see on that chart, as of 2022, is that Part B or Plan G does not cover the Part B deductible.
Right. And that deductible is $233?
Correct. $233 for 2022.
Now, is that per year or per benefit period?
That's per year, so that is based on the calendar, January 1st through December 31st. And these figures, as well as the ones we talked about previously, when it comes to hospitalization, Part A, deductibles, and things like that, they can and are typically adjusted from year to year. So anticipate some changes in those figures, whether they may go up or stay the same or go down.
I mean, it makes sense. This is, again, as they're trying to keep in mind when we, and I've talked about this before on the show, not only is the solvency issue when it comes to both Social Security as well as Medicare, and meaning simply that they're just not funded fully. They're not fully funded in being able to continue to take care of the needs of those that have Medicare. They're basically running in the red. So one of the things that we're seeing is little adjustments that they're making. Here's another instance where, for the insurance company, of course, this is more for them. We're seeing that they're going to, and they probably see the writing on the wall here too, that these premiums and co-pays as well as the deductibles are likely to go up, meaning you're going to be paying more and more out of pocket. So right now the deductible for Part B is $233 rather a year. It's quite likely that they're going to raise that over time, and the insurance companies seeing that, so they're saying, we don't want to cover that one. We want to. That's going to go over to be your responsibility. Now, what would be the difference, Warren, between F, which is basically in particular for new enrollees who wouldn't even have that available? I guess the next best plan might be G.
Correct. Yeah. G, as you can see there, the difference between Plan F and Plan G is that Plan G you would be responsible for the Part B deductible. One thing I think it's important to point out, Hank, is that that to know about Medigap is that there's what's known as a guaranteed issue right. So during their initial enrollment period, unless they delay it, they which is 6 months after enrolling in Medicare, 63 days after loss of other coverage.
Right.
Means that even if an individual has pre-existing conditions, they cannot be denied a Medigap coverage or policy as long as it's available to them in their area during that window of time. Waiting longer, however, or if they were to sign up for a Medigap, enroll in a Medigap plan at that time, and then later choose to, like we talked about with open enrollment, you might be on a Medigap plan, but you want to do a review and compare and see what your options are. At that point in time, you would be subject to health questions.
So you get underwriting, basically.
Underwriting, correct.
We're going to take a break, but that's something to keep in mind. This is an important part, and we're going to come back, in fact, and talk about that a little bit more, because you need to understand, again, in particular, if there's underwriting involved, that means you might get turned down. You might not be able to get a plan that you want. So very important as you go through the process, understanding how it works, choices you're going to have available to you, and how to, of course, make the best choice for you. We'll help you with that as soon as we return. Join us here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report.